So to have good psychometric properties and to be potentially useful, a questionnaire has to be both reliable and valid. If a researcher is attempting to create a new scale to measure anxiety, let's take that for example. So you've got a researcher looking to create a new scale to measure anxiety. They want to make sure the scale reliably measures anxiety in someone with anxiety. For example, if the individual filled out a questionnaire 3 times the same day, they would produce the same score each time. The researcher also wants to make sure the scale is valid, which means the scale is actually measuring the symptoms of anxiety and not another mood or behavior. So a reliable scale consistently measures the same construct. Reliability has to be established across tests and sessions. It's called test reliability. As well as individuals in settings, a valid scale measures what it says it's going to measure. If something is valid, it is always reliable. However, something can be reliable without being valid. So let's look into that in a bit more detail. Let's sort of explore the dynamics between reliability and validity just a bit more closely. If someone, for example, has an archery, if someone goes to like an archery range and they're going to fire some arrows with an archery at like a firing range, and they got 5 arrows and they're told to hit the target, the bullseye target on each occasion. The ideal aim is to be reliable, consistent, valid, or accurate with the archery, with the bow and arrow. Now, let's say on the first panel, the archer fires the arrow, and it's neither reliable, not valid, as they are sort of scattered across the board that they're aiming for. Now, on the second panel, the archer fires reliably and hits the same spot on every occasion. However, they did not hit the target spot, so they were not valid. And on the third panel, at the firing range, the shots are both reliable and valid. So the throws hit the spot they were intended to hit, and they did so consistently. Just to sort of complicate things a little bit more, there are different types of validity. One of them is construct validity, and that has 2 subcategories: convergent validity and discriminant validity. Convergent validity tests the relationship between the construct and similar measures with already established construct validity. Ideally, we want to establish construct validity for a measure that attempts to capture an entirely new concept from what already exists in psychological theory. We don't want to perform convergent validity with another existing measure that is meant to capture a related but somewhat different construct. If it's spot on, if it's perfect, our construct won't be a new construct. Also, if we're creating a new measure that is a slight variation on the theme of one already existing for this new construct, do we actually need it if the original one has been doing the job or even better? So you want some convergent validity and other measures, but not a perfect one. To establish discriminant validity, you need to show that measures should not be related. In reality, not related. It should be able to discriminate between 2 different constructs. The important thing to recognize is that construct and discriminant validity work together. If you can demonstrate that you have evidence for both convergent and discriminant validity, then you have, by definition, demonstrated that you have evidence for construct validity. But neither one alone is sufficient for establishing construct validity. Another aspect of validity, content validity, refers to whether the items on the test actually test what they meant to test. According to the construct's definition and operarization, for example, it would be invalid to include a question. For example, so maybe a maths equation, a test, on say, an English spelling question. So it wouldn't be, for example, so it would be invalid. Let's say you had a maths equation and you had it on a test for, an English spelling test, or spelling test in general, then it would be invalid, as it isn't testing what you're looking for. So it's important that it's test what you're looking for. It should also test the aspects or facets of the constructs. For example, it would be invalid to test, say, spelling ability by just using extra questions. There is a lot more to say spelling ability than answering certain questions. For example, okay, the context of spelling, how we spell, how we include it in the story, how we include the sentence structure, and so on and so forth.